So we'll go ahead and get started with today's professional development circle. And I'm so excited to have my new friend, Jen Goff, here. And we're going to be talking about email marketing, but it's not going to be dry and it's not going to be like another task and something overwhelming. We just want to kind of drop the curtain behind the scenes of like why we should be doing it. And one thing that I talked about in the Facebook group that, Jen, I really want to invite us to lean into in the call is just around that connection, using it as a vehicle for connection, not always, not always like spamming and selling. And we'll get into all the questions. But for everybody that's joining us on the call, this is interactive, so you're welcome to drop questions in the chat. We will have time to open up for a question and answer at the end. I have more than an hour, so if we go over a little bit, I've got space for that. And I want to get this call started with telling my story about email marketing and my journey with it, and then have Jen kind of talk about kind of answer some of the things that I'm bringing up, and then we'll go from there. But so some of you know me really well, some of you are working with me, some of you are new to my world, but I live in a little town called Mendocino in the Northern California coast. And the minute that the internet was invented, I knew that that was going to be my way of living in a tiny rural town and being able to scale my business. I was working at a very high level at in a hospitality setting at a pretty famous restaurant. I'd worked there for like 13 years. I was the manager. Good morning, Monica. Monica is my apprentice. And so I was working at this high level, I was putting deals together with like wineries and PR people and just like gliding around doing hospitality and creating experiences, which, by the way, really was one of the secrets to the success I've been able to have in the industry. But after I had kind of done what I could do there, because for all intents and purposes, I was still waitressing. And I had all this creativity in me, and I was thinking, gosh, what can I do? What can I do? So I ended up going to esthetician school to become a makeup artist, because there was a wedding industry happening. And I thought, okay, this will be something that will be aligned with my gifts. I was doing what is the book? The book where you do the morning pages, The Artist Way. 1998, I started The Artist Way, and I became an esthetician in 2003. So I was like making Christmas ornaments. I had a home decor business. I was just like so creative. I made jewelry, and then I landed on being an esthetician. So that was right when the internet was invented, right? So I started off doing makeup, and I'll just kind of I'll keep the story focused on the internet aspect of it. But from the very beginning, I started getting on the internet, and because I thought to myself, I've already worked at this very high level. I can't afford just to be like average at this. I have to be the best. We can talk about that as a mindset thing. That was some scarcity there. But at any rate, I started connecting with estheticians all over the world via MSN message boards. This is before Facebook groups. And that's actually also why I was able to be, esthetician of the year. I'm the Kelly Clarkson of the skin games, and work for the doctor who discovered the peptide for the cosmetics industry, and a whole bunch of other exciting things I did in my career all came from the fact that I was this huge internet networker. So right when email marketing started, I was just obsessed with funnels and obsessed with learning how to do this. I was always really good at branding. I created a brand. My first brand was called Mendocino Beauty, and I still get offers to buy that business on email almost every single day. I was in the WordPress for Dummies book, and it just ended up being this beautiful brand. And the tagline was an experience, a philosophy, and a lifestyle. How fantastic. Anyways, I digress. So back in the early 2010s, I was starting to listen to podcasts, and I was obsessed with learning how to make a funnel. So I had a type form quiz called Discover Your Skin Nature. And I had separated my email list out. Basically, I was taking people in, like a spring was a young woman, a summer was like a woman in her 30s, a fall was a woman in her 40s and 50s, and a winter was, a woman over 60. And I had this like great little deliverable, a PDF. And you guys, I mean, come on, this is like back in 2010. It was very ahead of its time and sophisticated, but I was just obsessed with it. But what made it not successful? I was afraid to email the client. So I was setting all this stuff up, but when it came time to actually trigger the automations and send the emails, I just fell apart and I couldn't, like, it would happen. And then, upper limits and all the other things can get in the way. It never ended up being successful because I was in fear of the unsubscribes. I was in living fear of them. Like I would literally get a stomach ache and an anxiety if I checked my back end and saw that people unsubscribed. It would just like hurt my feelings so, so, so bad. And somebody wrote in the esthetician group, in the Abundant Esthetician, that they were worried about spamming. And I just really wanted to share my story of that. That was me. I had all of the tech together. I had all of the things. I had a virtual assistant back in 2010. And I still couldn't get it off the ground because I was really worried about the unsubscribed and I was worried about bugging people. And I think this just ties back into a larger conversation about our worth as estheticians and the fact that we are artists and the fact that we are delivering something really special in terms of like how our clients see themselves. And if I could wave a magic wand us our group today and just give us all that one thing, is that understanding and that knowledge that we are not bothering our people and that our emails can actually be a gift, and that email is actually the only thing that we really own along with our website that isn't, reliant on social media. What if Instagram crashes? What if Facebook goes away and we only have, our list? It's very valuable. And over the years, I developed a facial in a box in 2017. I have a quantum beauty methodology that I sold for very, top dollars. I've done a one-to-one coaching for $15,000 with women that I've never even met. And it was all because I was able to embrace internet, email, digital marketing, and make it feel good and cozy in my nervous system. Because if we've learned anything from Instagram, it is that we can be only as successful as our nervous system will allow. So on that note, I am so excited to introduce you to Jen. The minute that I met her, I was like, we need to be hanging out because my clients really, really need to know about this. And if you're in soul service, and I've got Becky and Monica and Summer, some of them have been in my certification. Some will be, and they will be coming to soul service as well. We're going to have a special bonus call with Jen, who will give us even more of a deep dive. But today I really want to give some actionable tips and takeaways, and everybody in the audience ask questions. There's no wrong questions. If we're nervous, if we're afraid, if we think that we're spamming, anything and everything goes. And on that note, I will hand it over to Jen.
Yay, thank you, Amy, so much. I always love hearing your story because I always hear something new every time. And thanks for having me on this call. It is so nice to see all of these smiling faces. I'm Jen Goff, and really quick backstory. I am a licensed cosmetologist since 2008. I've worked on movie sets doing makeup and hair. I've also done some sugaring in my career, spray tanning. So I've kind of all over the board. But one thing that I kept coming back to was digital marketing in all of my ventures, all of these different services, businesses. And Boy, oh boy, I've really evolved over time because it started out with social media only. And once I started integrating email marketing, that's when I really saw a big shift, which is what I wanted to just share about today because email marketing is literally my life. I've built an entire business on it. I love it so much. I've seen it work for so many of my clients who are also in the beauty, health, wellness space. And I'm in the Abundant Esthetician Facebook group, so I did see some of these questions pop up, I think, when Amy posted last week. So just kind of going off of what Amy has said about feeling spammy. That's such a big objection that I hear. People have a lot of concerns about being intrusive and being spammy. And so I just wanted to share with you that yes, email marketing can be spammy when it's done wrong. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there doing it wrong. And that is when it starts to feel really spammy and intrusive and not helpful, not valuable. But when it is done right, when email marketing is done by warming your list, right? Building that connection, building those relationships, consistency, sharing about yourself, building those long lasting client and customer relationships, that is when you start to see things working. You start to get those conversions because you're building loyalty and you're building trust simply just by showing up every week. I strongly recommend once a week emailing at least. If that is really scary to you, if you are starting at zero, once every other week is a fine place to start, but it's really about building that habit for yourself and also building the habit for your subscribers to start to recognize your name in their inbox. They're going to start to get more familiar with opening your emails, with clicking through your emails. These are all things that are really important in the email marketing world. And the one thing that I really wanted to share about this as well today is that we cannot control how other people feel about emails, about receiving emails, about email marketing. We cannot control that. People, places, and things. We have no control. What we can control is how we're showing up in their inbox and how we're also keeping our own inbox. So I've noticed that a lot of times when people are really worried about feeling spammy or intrusive, it's because they don't really have those strong boundaries within their own inbox. They're not unsubscribing from lists that that don't serve them, they don't need to be a part of or want to have in their inbox anymore. So use that unsubscribe button. And I would like to talk more about this as well in terms of receiving those unsubscribes. But just staying organized in the inbox. And that really kind of helps shift our own mindset around email marketing in general. I love that Amy also talked about hitting the send button because those two things, getting unsubscribes and hitting the send buttons, do tend to be nerve-wracking. They kind of jolt your nervous system a little bit, especially in the beginning. Um, and spoiler alert, my favorite tool to use in email marketing is the schedule feature. So that's kind of like my own little personal hack is I schedule all of my emails to go out so that that takes an extra step, an extra resistance and the friction of me having to hit send, depending on, I don't know what mood I'm going to be in on Tuesday mornings at 6:05 when my newsletters go out. So I just schedule them and I take away that extra resistance to it. That way they're going out. I've still, had control over the content and what I was writing, but then I schedule them so that I don't actually have to get myself in the right mindset to hit send. Unsubscribes, the thing that I love about emails is they are consensual. So unsubscribes are actually doing you a solid favor because we don't want to have subscribers on our list who are not engaged and who do not want to be there. So I know in the social media world, it's all about like how many followers do I have? What is my number? What is her number? What is their number? How many followers? And that is not the same with email. Your subscriber number is a vanity metric. It simply does not matter. It does not matter. You can have 200 subscribers, you can have 500, 1,000. It does not matter. What matters is how many of those subscribers are engaging with your emails. What are your open rates? How many people are clicking through your emails? Are you getting any replies? That is really what dictates a good sender reputation. And having a good sender reputation means landing in inboxes. So I'm,
There's a whole bunch to
yeah,
that.
yeah. And
Yeah, go
it
ahead.
always feels like emails always get such a bad rep. People think like, oh, it doesn't work. Oh, they're dinosaurs. They're not as cool or, sexy as social media reels and videos and posts, but they actually have a 40 time higher ROI than social media platforms. And so, really, what I want you to focus on today, because you're right, Amy, there's so much that goes into this, but really, what I want you to focus on today is what is in your control. And that is just showing up as a friend, as you'd be texting a friend or a loyal customer or a client that you're taking care of, building that trust, building those relationships, nurturing those subscribers that you have, because what happens is a subscriber turns into a friend and then a friend turns into a paying customer or a client. It really is that simple when you break it down and you just focus on what is in your control.
I love that. And the tech can get a little overwhelming, and we can get into tech. You offer tech support. I can help with tech support when I'm working with my clients, high level. But let's like talk about, first of all, let's get everybody involved and either like put in the comments, are you emailing people? What are your concerns? Any really can be anything, even if it's tech related. But I wanted to break in and just talk about a few things that we can do in our email. And I also want to talk about, you have this like crazy $19 a month membership where
Mhm.
you give templates. And if I wasn't already like really good at this because I spent 15 years practicing it, I would be all over that. And so I highly recommend that. But the things that we can be talking about that are not selling all the time. So really, we shouldn't be selling very often in our email box anyways, right? I don't know if you have like
So true.
a metric for that, but I realized that I was actually giving calls to action too many times in my emails lately, just because I'm in a selling season and I have a lot of programs and exciting things happening. So I was, asking people to do something every single time. And I just pulled back from that. But what is the number one thing that a beauty consumer is going through right now? Overwhelmed. She is overwhelmed. She is getting so much conflicting information. And it's my point of view, and the way that I teach is to come in and be a guide for your client, right? So to help her, guide her through all of the noise and all of the smoke and mirrors. So some really good things that we can do for our clients to help them and to be that like little bright spot in the inbox, a little drop of sunshine. And I also want everyone in the room to think about an email that you get from somebody on in your box that you look forward to and that you open up, because everybody should have at least one person that emails them and talks about something that you're excited about, or that you absolutely never just delete, but you open it up and you look at that. Think about that, and let's kind of reverse engineer what about that email makes you want to open it and read it. I've got quite a few that I can think of. But things that we can be emailing about are something exciting that's happening in the industry, things that we are discouraged about that we want to educate our clients about. We can be talking about, news in the industry of skin, ingredients. We can talk about things that they can be doing at home to take care of their skin more effectively. We could be sending them meditations. We could be sending them articles from other people. We could be doing so many things that are not a sale. Would you like to speak to that?
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I think when I hear, somebody saying that it's not working, I like to go back and look at some of the content in the emails, and it does tend to be a little bit usually on the salesy side because, we're in business and we do have to be comfortable selling. However, I don't like it when I'm being sold to 99% of the time either. So, I think that is a big piece that we tend to forget is connection first. And that goes for, every digital platform, but especially in emails, I think it's so powerful when you are just trying to focus on building that relationship first. And so I love some of the examples that Amy shared, also like behind the scenes. People love to see kind of what is happening behind the scenes, especially for service providers. If you are someone who's offering a service, whether it is in person or online, they want to know about you. So there's no harm in sharing personal updates, what you're comfortable with, but building that connection first. And then I always like to do inside of the Vault membership where I have templates, little micro conversions. So it can be just as simple as something in the PS. Hey, PS, we have, 2 spots left for this week. Grab one here if you're interested. Like it can be
Mm.
that simple.
The PS is how I usually put my links in as well. I love that. And Monica just shares that she sends once a month and that during COVID, her clients told her that her emails were a lifeline for them. And I think that that's a really good example of
Love
just
that.
continuing that connection.
Mhm.
Um, and Amy is starting from zero again and trying to feel more comfortable and not be attached to the numbers. Yeah,
Mm.
let's all detach from the numbers. We live in interest-based media now. Social media is kind of gone. It's just all about, like, on Instagram, I can get 2,000 views on a piece of content and only 6 likes. So the numbers don't really mean anything anymore. And I think the other thing is if we could just all drop into our bodies and, like, we're not out here in the virtual space trying to figure all this out, but this is like really embodied and connect in that we have something special in our hands. You wouldn't be in the room with me if you didn't have something special and that you were not aligned with, your soul and bringing forth some magic within your hands. And I think that thought leadership, even on social media, and then continuing it into the email. Think about it that way too. Like I write like interesting points of views on my main Facebook page. I had to start doing it as exposure therapy because I'm actually highly sensitive. And over the years, I used to be really, worried about criticism, and I did get a lot of criticism. But over the years of just like hitting post on interesting points of views that not a lot of people agreed with and kind of creating out in the future and talking about stuff nobody was talking about, that helped build the muscle too. So I think that email marketing is really important, but this is an ecosystem, right, Jen? It's like this because social media is still an important component of it because that might be how we warm somebody up to join us onto our list. And then that brings up a customer journey. And as much as I would love to talk about advanced quantum beauty energy, we have to learn the customer journey and we have to talk about the digital marketing piece because it all goes together. How this client is getting to know us off social media, maybe warming onto our list, and then maybe booking the appointment. Or maybe they book the appointment through a personal referral, but then you are continuing to remind them why working with you is adding to their bottom line. So this is where really developing a message around your services, and that's what I'm so passionate about. It's like, who do you do it for? Why do you know the who, what, why, where, when, and hows, right? That we learned in middle school. But who your soul client is, what you transform in their lives, what problems are you solving for them, like really getting micro and macro on that. Once you connect with that, you're really unstoppable, because I know that I have a mission to shift and uplift how a million women feel about themselves when they look in the mirror, and to lead the estheticians that will guide them there. I just like I have to email people. Like I just couldn't not do that, right? And so I think that that also helps when the mission gets so big that the technology is just there to support you. And like you said, Jen, it's like, thank you for getting off the list. Thank you for making space, because otherwise we have to like prune the list. And there's all these, there's a lot of laws around email, the GDPR, and getting permission and having a special sending email, and those things are there. But it's like this very special relationship. If you have permission to be in somebody's inbox, that is intimacy.
Mhm. Yep,
And Summer
absolutely.
says, do you need a second email system for non-clients? I think that this is a good question, Summer. And Jen, let's talk about this. So she's emailing, you're basically emailing people through your booking system email, but on your website, Summer, do you have a pop-up, or do you have an area where people can join your newsletter? So that's something that you need, and we can talk about that in soul service. I'm nuts about talking about internet marketing along with our soul services, because that's the connection. We could be the most magical person, right? If I was in Mendocino and had all these superpowers, but nobody knew about it, like, what good is that doing us? We need to use the internet as this virtual way of communicating. So yeah, you need a way of updating people. Now, if you go to the skintessa.com, which I'm inviting everybody to do, I already have your email address because you've signed up for this Zoom call, which, by the way, that is an opt-in. You had
Mhm.
to pay by signing up for the Zoom, which took time out of your day. That was the payment. I got your email, and now we're having a free coaching call. And I will add that email into my main email list, and there will be a tag that says monthly professional development circle or something like that. Pro development circle, pro circle. So we start tagging people, and we can start like really like knowing who our people are. But right now, my email opt-in for my general audience is a quiz that I developed like 5 years ago, the Beauty Energy Archetype quiz. And I originally developed it for client facing, because I was working with clients. And now I have spent the last year, because it's, for me, I never just do marketing. It always has to like be very deep, and don't make things as complicated as I do. That's not that's not the thing. But at any rate, there's a beauty energy archetype quiz, and a quiz takes a lot longer for somebody to come through to take the quiz. So I'm not going to get as many email signups as if I just said, hey, take $100 off one of my programs and put your email in, right? But because it takes that extra time, the people that come through that and actually put their email in are a much more qualified lead. Do you want to, I want to break down some of these terms when we say lead. And I want to hand that to you, but one more thing that I want to say before I forget, that I think is really important, that is one of the reasons why I run around like a chicken with my head cut off saying like, guys, uh it's not really the industry. It's just, I mean, it is the industry and it is the economy that people are feeling slowed down. But I think it's also that in our industry, we do not get taught about this kind of stuff. And estheticians in general are behind like the Marie Forleo B School wellness coaches. that go and do the 6-month program to learn how to do virtual health coaching, for instance. And they are learning internet marketing. And there's a whole group of industries who have eaten into the aesthetic market because they know how to do digital marketing. So that's why it's really important. But let me hand it back over to you, Jen, and let's talk about
Yeah.
the leads and some of these like jargony words that we say, what they
Yeah, I
mean.
just wanted to mention, Amy, I'm so happy you're starting from zero because that's what we all do. We all start
Yes.
from zero. So congratulations. Starting is the hardest part. So it really doesn't matter if you're starting at 0 or 1, you know. So glad that you're here and learning as much as you can, Summer. You don't need two email systems. I agree with Amy, tagging and segmenting as long as you are on an email marketing platform that can do that for you. I know that booking system emails are great for follow-ups or reminders, appointment reminders. They do tend to be a little bit more limited when it comes to how many emails you can send a month or how many subscribers you can have. My favorite email marketing platform is Flowdesk, and you can actually save 50% off with my code Jen Goff. But I am a Flowdesk partner, just full transparency. I think that they're an amazing platform. You can get locked into unlimited subscribers. I think this month is the last month you can do that. But um, yeah, you do not need two email systems. You can absolutely just use one and then segment and tag. And so what Amy's referring to is like an opt-in is when somebody is entering their email address. And I really believe you only need two things to start your email marketing platform, which is exactly what Amy mentioned. It's having some sort of a lead magnet. So Amy has one that is a quiz, which is great. However, you can also do like a free guide. You can do like this Zoom call is another perfect example of an opt-in. Discount, as Amy was saying, you know, I have one that's $100 off of a program. So people sign up because they want that lead magnet or that freebie. It's just your discount or your free guide or your quiz. So people are exchanging their email for that. So you put that on your website, right? An opt-in form is going to be, hey, sign up with your email address, grab my freebie, and then they will do that and automatically be sent into a welcome sequence. And this is where people are going to be warmed up to you on autopilot. So a lead is something that is, it's someone who's interested. It's like a warm lead is someone who's landing on your website for whatever reason, wherever they found you on Google, Yelp, a referral. They landed on your website because they are interested in some capacity of what you do and what you offer. Even if it's just interested in a gift card, they're still warm leads because they're still interested in you and your services and your website. So we want to collect that email address of that person because that is someone who is more likely to convert down the road. So in order to do that, offering something for free, just a freebie, free guide, discount, quiz, whatever it may be, is going to capture their email address. Then you have a welcome sequence set up, which is just a series of 3 to 5 emails that go out and they just warm them up further. Hey, my name is Summer. This is my business. You know, I'm glad you're here. By the way, here's your freebie. Did you see it yet? Did you catch it? You know, so it's a warm up and it's still very connection based. But we do want to segment those people just with a little tag that says, you know, warm lead or maybe opt-in sign up so that we know who is signing up, who hasn't booked yet or purchased from us yet, but they're interested. They have given us their email address. Now they're going to go into a little subcategory. And then we also have, you know, current clients and customers in another subcategory. So then we can email our entire list, just connection emails once a month, which is exactly what we do inside of the vault. Or if you want to just send to those warm leads and follow up with them later, you can pull that segment. You can grab that little subgroup of opt-ins, warm leads, the people who maybe haven't booked yet, but they did enter their email address for that freebie. So we want to go back and just follow up with them. Does that all make sense, Amy? Did I explain that?
Yeah, and I just wanted to circle back. Yeah, that was exactly what needed to be said. But the thing about with Summer is that she is going to have, so you will have two ways that emails come in if you're using a booking system. So when you have a booking system like Vagaro or MindBody or Gloss Genius or whatever, that is taking the email and you're able to email them because your, appointment confirmations and all of that. But the second email provider, which is the software like MailChimp or Flowdesk, or I use ConvertKit and I've used ActiveCampaign over the years, and SendLane, for instance, that's an extra software that you need a subscription for, and that has the code that you can put onto your website that can make the pop-up. Now, a lot of times, especially on Shopify, at the bottom and on my Squarespace website as well, at the bottom, it says, come and enjoy our newsletter. And a lot of times people will just do that and there's no freebie exchange. They just want to be in touch with you, and a lot of times people will do that because they're not ready to buy right now, but they just want to be reminded in the future. And they're like, oh, this person is interesting. I want to jump on their list. Now, I want us to all think about into our personal inboxes and the way that we do buying. So some people have a special email that they only use for email opt-ins when they're buying like clothes, for instance. So have you ever noticed that if you're going to buy something, now I'm not a price shopper. I'm somebody who will like drop $1,000 on an outfit because I love handmade, beautiful, like designer clothes, not mass marketed like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, but like niche niche people. And but one thing even about that is if they're offering if they're offering a discount on the email, I will opt in to get the discount. But once I've purchased, I might not stay on their list because I just gave them my email to get the discount. So when we're giving discounts, a lot of times it's really transactional, especially if it's just like a 10% off or 15% off. But you would feel stupid if you didn't take that 15% off, right? But if you've made a big purchase, like for me, when I'm just thinking of my own buyer behavior, I've already like really thought it through. I know there's nothing else that I really want there. And if I want to buy again, I'm probably going to go back and resubscribe to get the discount again. Like that's just my buyer behavior. So that's a different buyer, like e-commerce behavior is a little bit different than like having a long-term relationship. So really thinking through that opt-in and thinking through what you could deliver. And I'm doing the quiz because I really want to lead them through a little mini journey. And if they get to the end after 2 minutes and they can put their email address in, they're just a much better person to have on my list than if I would have given them $100 off of a course. However, giving $100 off a course is actually a really, really good strategy if you have a high ticket transformational program or light lift or one of the things like that I teach, like a new business model that's not just trading time for money. And one of the best ways that I've seen that happen is instead of having a pop-up, which people have a lot of pop-up fatigue, is actually putting a bar inside of the website, a segment. What do you think about that, Jen? Like I think you have that at your website.
What is that?
When you build the email opt-in right into the website instead of it being pop-up. So let's go to your
Oh yeah, my
your
there
website
it is. Yeah.
and let's just go here. So she's got her email right up here. So it's like, come and hang out with me. And do you see how her email opt-in is right here? This is a called above the fold. This is the hero above the fold on your website. Very, very important. So she's talking right to the person. Who wants $5,000 more a month without the marketing hustle? I do. Everybody should raise their hand on that. So that's what email is about.
Yeah.
So instead of a pop-up, which people have a lot of fatigue on, she has put a section in her website. Is this Squarespace or?
No, it's through Go Happy Beauty, so it's a WordPress.
Okay, so most email or
Oh, my
website
email. My
website
email?
builders have
Yeah.
an email section. It's called a template. It's like a template section. So instead of having the pop-up, she's got it below the fold here. It's the second thing that you see. And here, your next 10 clients are just an email away. So this is, I just wanted to mention that along with email marketing, the messaging is really, really important. Like speaking to, we want 10 more clients and we want to make $5,000 a month. So everybody put your esthetician hat on and think, what do your clients really want?
Mhm.
Firmer, more radiant skin without inflammatory treatments or injections? Yes, they do. Okay, just wanted to show that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that, Amy. And I think that's a good point that there are going to be people out there who are freebie shoppers and maybe sign up to grab something. So you do want to be very strategic about that, what you're offering. And that I love you mentioned the customer journey and how important that is. And that's exactly why a welcome sequence is so important when you do have somebody opt in and sign up with their email address. They go through that sequence and they get warmed up because that's part of the customer journey. And then guess what? If they unsubscribe, no big deal. They've experienced now their, your welcome sequence, the customer journey. Now they've gotten an idea of who you are, where you are, how to find you, and they may be back. But again, like I do just think it's important to mention that we cannot control unsubscribes and they're not always a bad thing either. So just being really strategic about what it is that you're offering for free. Obviously, I wouldn't offer $100 off of, an esthetician service or something like that. But
Oh, but if people do, so something that I've seen that's very successful, I follow this marketing podcast called I Love Marketing, and it's these guys called the Genius Network, and it's $100,000 to be in their mastermind for a year. And they used to they used to put the audio of their meetings on their podcast. They don't do it anymore. But one of the guys, his wife was a microblader, and the brows cost like $600. And so they did do $100, like they did it like how you had it, where they had it set into the website and it said, get your gift card for your microbladed brows. So that's very high value. And if someone's going to spend 600 and get $100 off, we're talking about that. And we're not talking about $150 facial service, but
Mhm.
I do think that for us, for estheticians that are nurturing a relationship, things like, how to set up a ritual at home, like adjunct things to what you're offering, ways to support them and to show your preeminence, which is having their best interest at heart, is something to think about. And, we can continue talking about that in the group. What
Mhm.
else was I going to say? And back to your point, and when I shared my buyer behavior, yeah, absolutely. Just because I unsubscribe doesn't mean that I'm not interested in that brand anymore. I will
Right.
probably resubscribe when I'm ready to buy again. It's just that I try to do inbox zero and keep everything pretty organized. And if I know I'm not in a buying season for that specific thing, I might unsubscribe. So that actually helped me with my own unsubscribe. I don't even look anymore, you
Exactly.
guys. I don't look anymore. I don't care. I don't look at my numbers on social media. I don't care. I'm just here for the people that I'm here for. And
Yeah.
hopefully that helps. Now, Amy, I want to circle back to this so we can try to get some coaching in here. What kind of website do you have? And starting from zero again, does that mean that you need to get a new software, or um, how are you taking your clients' information in? I think if we're using like paper, if we've been taking paper notes, and doing paper receipts, which a lot of people still like to do. It's harder to keep track of those emails, right? But if you want to either open up or put it in the chat, I think we can start doing a little face-to-face coaching if you guys want. What else about email? I like emailing my clients, and I do get a lot of replies, and it's nice.
Yeah, that's great. That's great feedback, hearing from them. And it's also kind of like a secret hack for market research too, because you get to ask them, what do you guys, hit reply, what are you struggling with right now? And then using their own language to then go ahead and market your services,
That's really
right?
important. Take a step on that, using their own language. And I also want to say, one of the women in my certification, I don't know if she's still on the call. She had coached with me like 7 years ago when I had the energetics of aesthetics. It was like I was just trying. It was like when I first started like having an offer for estheticians, but then COVID happened, and then I went all back into the consumer. She stayed on my list that entire time, even because I've had an audience thing, right? I have a professional audience and I have a consumer audience. And she stayed on for 8 years. And then when I offered my certification, she signed up for it. And she had been on my list for all that whole entire time, opening up the emails when they had nothing to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another good point. And then Jen, what would you advise to analog, digital, hybrid?
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy, for jumping on and sharing that because it can be vulnerable even just to share that out loud and to say that and acknowledge it. But it, you are not alone. I as well. I am also a highly sensitive person. So I get it. I mean, posting was really hard, sending emails was really hard. And um, it really started to shift for me. I can only, speak about, I think what really helped me with that was consistency and mindset, a lot like what Amy has said. And it's shifting that mindset from I'm actually just sending. I don't really want anything. I just want to build a relationship. I want them to know that I feel good about what I'm doing and I can help them through their problems, X, Y, and Z. And it's just about practicing delivering that message to people consistently and, trying to build a little bit of a rapport as well as that trust and the loyalty comes along with it. So I have actually been able to build a lot of those relationships that you're talking about, Amy. I just realized I'm talking to two Amy's, so I apologize. I'm like
No,
not
I know you're talking to the same.
differentiating. Okay. Yeah. So I've been able to build some of those loyal relationships that Amy Scott was referencing. That they're your lifelong dream clients that follow you from everywhere you go. So it is possible to find more of those, and I think it really starts with allowing yourself to be a little bit vulnerable and sharing consistently. And I think that practice helps too. And I mentioned before that what helped me hit send was scheduling emails. And if you're someone who doesn't know what to write for emails either, that's exactly why I created the Vault because they are very connection based emails. But I would just practice, practice. What do
I
you
want to break in
think?
and say something also about the consistency that I just remembered. W- We are dealing with humans that have human behavior. And as much as we want to like say that, so and so is the exception and we're the exception, we're busy, we're going about our day, and we're just trying to get through our inbox. Like we check email probably, I don't know, I check email in the morning and the afternoon. I check twice a day. That's it. Like sometimes people are like, "Oh, you didn't get back to me." I'm like, "No, I'm very strict about when I check my email." But one thing is if people just email me randomly, they're getting an unsubscribe. Uh, if I've got a rhythm with somebody, even if I'm not buying, but I might want to buy, but I haven't bought, but I'm interested, or even it's not even a buying thing. That consistency is human behavior that we need to get them used to seeing us in the inbox. So that's why sending a random every quarter email or just, you know, every now and then. And I notice when I used to do that, because I'm talking about things that I used to do, I had so many things to say that the email was just like so long also. And I was like sending it once a quarter. That doesn't work. So just know that it's like getting people cozy from hearing from you, and your clients do want to hear from you, guaranteed. And the other thing is mindset wise of we are all doing our clients a giant disservice. It's sort of this flipping selling to serving. Selling as love, selling as service. If I had something, which is right now soul service, that could change your business and your life, and I didn't talk about it, I would be doing you a giant disservice. If it's not the right time for you because of time, money, inclination, that's okay. But I wouldn't be having your best interest if I didn't at least talk about it and share it. So I hopefully that helps a little bit as well. But I think the main thing for Amy Scott is how do we get her feeling really comfortable with her analog note taking and client taking, and then getting that into a digital database. But do you have an online booking system? Is there? So there is a digital database. I think it would probably just be at the end of the day, like just entering maybe in. You guys, you can also just use Gmail and blind copy everybody if you really had to. If you didn't have an email system. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world just to do it once in a while. What do you think, Jen?
You're talking about using Gmail for,
Yeah, like if she was just like right now, like if she needed to send off an email and just blind copied everybody and said, I'm getting started with email. I want to nurture you. I want to guide you. I want, to have a connection with you when I'm not seeing you in the room. I'm working towards getting an email system. But for now, like, hi, it's me. Expect,
yeah, as long as they've, consented
yeah.
to receiving emails. Because that's really the big thing. Anytime somebody is entering their own email address into that form on a website, that is consensual based. They're giving you consent because they're giving you their email. And so a lot of that is all compliant, regulated. So I would just make sure that you're having consent from people who are giving you their email. A lot of times clients, they know that that comes with booking an appointment. Um,
I think it just always also speaks to that analog as we know it. I mean, it's still really valuable because for our own nervous systems and just for the learning of our brain. But like you said, Amy, it's okay. It sounds like you're accepting that to go to the next level, there will be some expansion. And I have a quote that I'll be putting on Instagram a little bit later, and it says, the more important to our soul's growth, the greater the resistance there will be. So I think that just speaks to email, because email is, I mean, I have to say, there's still a little bit of like, I really didn't want to learn how to do it for a really long time. Um, I was obsessed with the funneling part and what I could do, but the emailing part was always really sticky. And it's because there's a lot that can be gained there. And
yeah.
to be saying your opinions and to be saying like, hi, I'm here in someone's inbox, it is vulnerable and it's intimate.
And I think it's of course going to be scary and intimidating and uncomfortable if you're not used to doing it on a regular basis. It was for me too when I first started, and I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We, especially in the beauty health wellness space, we want things to be perfect. We want to look our best. And it doesn't have to be that pressurized. It can literally be a very short and sweet email, just giving 1 to 2 updates, just for consistency purposes, just for practice purposes, and also letting your audience practice receiving emails from you. So not every email has to be perfect, we're, it's just like an Instagram post. There's not everyone will see it every single time. And that's why the repetition, staying top of inbox, staying top of mind is so important, because we just want to deliver our message and be service, or as Amy said too, Amy Wall, I love that. Like, what was it? Service and love.
Yeah, selling is love, selling is service.
Yeah, love that.
Because it's an exchange of value. All the money is just the exchange of appreciation. If you think of money as an exchange of appreciation, um, life with money can get really different, which is why I'm passionate about talking about abundance, because I I can't stand the estheticians are struggling and in the, lower middle class income range, unless they're outliers. I think we really need to be highly paid. Um, Being touched therapeutically and energetically is extremely valuable. What we do is extremely valuable. It is not just, anybody can just do what we do. I really want to bring prosperity and abundance to aesthetics in a non-creepy way. But we can really connect in with what it is costing our client not to love who and what she sees in the mirror on a daily basis. We can understand that there's a lot more value there than we may have been led to believe from the industry. So that's just something that's like something I've had to go through, just my own scarcity, overcoming scarcity, because scarcity is really at the is behind a lot of the fear of being visible,
Mhm.
like that we're not enough and that we'll get rejected from the tribe, right? It's like it's lives in our DNA that we don't want to be too much, or getting an unsubscribe can literally feel like getting kicked out of the tribe. And that's why it's so visceral for those of us that are highly sensitive. Now, I was just assuming that you're highly sensitive if you're in this group. And I think it's such a superpower. And yeah, and then just making it more normal. So, as a recap, having a software connected to our website that is like Flowdesk, amazing 50% off deal with Jen. I put the Thrive Cart $19 a month membership. This is a no-brainer. You can edit the templates. I know Jen offers a implementation call to an offer where she'll help you set up every single last little bit of code and all that. Jen's going to come and
Yeah.
do she'll come and do a guest call for soul service, so we can talk more about the nuts and bolts of that. But you need a software. We need a message, like strategy of what we're going to talk about, like talking about new services, talking about the state of beauty, talking about how they can bring more beauty wellness into their life at home. Any adjacent beauty wellness ideas or resources are great ideas. So, like getting an idea about that, coming up with a schedule, designing your template, making sure that you have your sending domain, which don't worry about it too much right now, but there's an email that you need to like confirm because of all the rules that you can, that you have their permission. And once you get some of the tech set up in the background, then it's just a matter of putting it on your calendar.
Mhm.
I like to email on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Um, and scheduling it so we don't have to hit send. I like to, it's the beginning of the month, so it's a Monday. So this is a perfect day to sort of sketch out what you have going on in your business. We're in fourth quarter now, so any holiday stuff. I do not like to do Black Friday. I really believe that estheticians should be zigging when everybody else is zagging. Trying to get in on the noise of Black Friday is, unless you have something extremely juicy. The one thing that could be cool if you have it all set up is you can pre-sell services. So people could buy like $500 of services for $350. If you have that tech set up, that's been successful for me in the past. But otherwise, you would have needed to be starting to start warming up for that like right now. And warming up is another thing. So when we're warming up, it's like talking about something without selling it for
Mhm.
like 5 weeks, at least 4 or 3, but generally 6 to 5 weeks, we're talking about something. And then we drop the link and people are all warmed up and they're more apt to buy. But I had something that I used to do called Bright Friday that everybody is welcome to run off with, where I would drop in with a special little guided meditation or something like a little bonus. But I think especially since there is so much stuff happening in people's inboxes and we want to stand out, it's always a good idea to zig when everybody else is zagging. Don't try to get in there and compete with the big guys. What you want to do is you want to be a little oasis, a little like, ah, there's Amy Scott's email. I can't wait to delete everything else and then just sit down with a cup of tea and read Amy's email. That's what I'm always trying to create when I email my clients. So hopefully that helped. And what else, Jen? Is there any other burning? I feel like I covered all the little things that I wanted to
Yeah.
say. Oh, I
Yeah.
also wanted to say that I've had 2,000 people on my list for 10 years. It's never gone really beyond 2,000.
Is that because you clean it
I
regularly?
clean it
Yeah.
regularly, and for sometimes wasn't just not asking people to come on. Okay, awesome, Danielle. People unsubscribe. Like right now, so what I'll be doing now with this quiz. So the quiz is the beauty energy archetype quiz, and I'm kind of a nut about like SEO, and I'm creating SEO that hasn't been created yet, like quantum beauty. No one, it's a category, right? It's a category of beauty that nobody knows about because I invented it. So I am creating for a future that isn't here yet. So it'll be a trend, people will come onto it, and then other people will start selling quantum beauty things, and then I'll be at the top of it because I'm the one that started talking about it first. So beauty energy archetypes is like that. Actually, another esthetician stole my quiz and remade it, but it ended up being really good for me because she started talking about something, and so more people were talking about it. So now, and she totally remade it into like, she made it unique to her thing. She took the concept and used pretty much the same words, but made different types. And I also wanted to encourage everyone to realize there's really no scarcity when you're doing something so unique. My stuff is pretty much uncopyable. She tried and it ended up being good for both of us because she has her own unique lens and it was totally fine. But beauty energy archetypes is a keyword. And so once I start talking about that on TikTok and Instagram, people are going to really be digging on it because it's like, the energetic is the empath, the alchemist is like, the magic woman, the artist is like the girl with the microneedling and the Botox. And like, I've got everybody like separated out in the different types of aesthetics. And I will run an ad on Instagram for $5 a day that I have very targeted, just the estheticians that I want to target. And so people will be joining my quiz from an Instagram lead. I'll be doing a sponsored post. And so right from Instagram, they'll be taking the quiz right there. So I won't be relying on that keyword to bring people to my website just randomly. People are not randomly looking for beauty energy archetype yet. So it'll happen directly off Instagram. So hopefully that helps too. And so $5 a day, that's $150 a month. That's what I spend on marketing. I always have a sponsored post going. So we can do that, right? When we get a lead magnet that's highly converting and I already know people love this quiz. So I know I'll have success with that. So that's kind of like the next level, what you can do with your email marketing. And then it's really important, especially like with me, because I sell courses and I do digital marketing and programs, which I did with clients as well. I wasn't always an esthetician I'm only esthetician now. I couldn't handle having two audiences, but I still have regular clients on my email list and they still buy products from me. They just email me and request them. But that's like the next level when you're really, really, really crystal clear about who your audience is. It doesn't matter if you're still working with clients, you can still sell them. You can still sell them courses. You can still sell them Zoom calls. You can sell coaching. You can sell programs. But I want you to open up your mindset about what's possible. That we don't have to just trade time for dollars. We have a lot of skills that translate to digital marketing, whether that's guided meditations, circles, Zoom circles, memberships, helping them set up their products at home. There's all sorts of stuff we can do. So embracing this now just is a really great way to future-proof our business. And you can tell I get so excited about it because it's like, it means that the whole world can be our client. And that is great because we don't have to be limited. And like, being unlimited is just such a great, great feeling. Any last words, Jen?
This has just been great. I'm so happy that I
Good.
was able to be on. Thank you so much, Amy. And I think really like the takeaway here today is imperfect action because it doesn't have to be perfect. Just take the action towards the next step because I know email marketing is powerful and it works. And it's just a matter of sort of learning and having that guide towards how. So I did drop my website in the chat. You can find my programs. I do this setup for you. I have a program where I get in and do all the setup for you if you are not tech savvy, if you do not have the time or energy for it. And then I also have the $19 membership, the Vault, which has all the email templates you could ever need. And there's 4 new ones that come out every month. So if you're like Amy Wall, you can sit down first Monday of the month and schedule 4 to go out and you're done. So yeah, let me
And
know.
get connected to the excitement about it.
Yes,
And
I
that
love
taking it out of the dry tech, templates are so wonderful because you don't have to be the expert at everything. And we'll circle this back to something we talked about on our chat, who, not how.
Mhm.
We need teams in this day and age. We need mentors, we need teams, we need people that are experts at things. We don't have to be the expert at everything. We just need to know who it is. We don't need to necessarily know how to do every single thing, but getting a template is really easy because then you can just take the template and add your specific things in and get faster. Because the other thing is in today's day and age, it's learning how to have that imperfect action, and that's the speed that's really important. Like I sent out emails today that were the wrong time for the because of the time change.
Mhm.
I didn't have one problem with that. I didn't go like, oh my God, like I fucked it up. Just like,
The
okay.
emails that really do the best are the ones that are imperfect because people are so craving that connection and that
Mm-hmm.
authenticity right now. Especially in the world, the day and age with all the online and the social media and the filters and this and that. So yeah, just take that pressure off of yourself to be perfect and do it perfectly because that doesn't exist.
And know that also that I feel like, and gets into my witchy part. I was thinking about this morning. Our word is our wand. That's why they call it spelling. And, the 4 agreements, being
Mhm.
impeccable with our word. And it's like being impeccable with our word to ourselves, our self-talk, but to realize that our words hold medicine for our clients. And these women are struggling. Beauty is not just like all of this glamour is means magic spell to begin with. Glamour is not meant to be sustained full time. And women are struggling with what should I be getting done? Do facials even work? I'm highly sensitive. I don't want to get red. I don't know if I can afford it. I mean, there's just all of this whole swirl of objections and thoughts and things. And if you can come into their inbox and just answer a little something, hey, did you know, and just really connecting in with your own value, Like that's why I was able to sell to my consumers $15,000 programs, because I knew that on the other side they could either spend $15,000 with me, or they could spend 30 to 50 grand on a facelift. I knew that that's what they were thinking about. So, for the facialists out there, women are getting injections, they're getting lasers, they're doing hormone replacement therapy, they're doing, working with their naturopathic doctor. They're spending the money still. The money has no money. Money doesn't disappear. Actually, just like water, water doesn't disappear. Money doesn't disappear. It actually just changes form. So be okay with receiving even the feedback, receiving feedback by the replies or the unsubscribes. That's just all receiving. So wherever we are in time and space, let's just drop our barriers to receiving, and just be brave enough to show up with our gifts, and to be visible and valuable and visionary in our clients' inboxes. Boom.
Perfect note to end on.
And I am highly available to everybody. If you're not in soul service yet and you want to join, it starts on Friday. I'm only going to be offering this once a quarter. And this is where we will be creating your own branded methodology. And really, I really believe that selling services off a menu is hurting us, because the client is overwhelmed. And if she goes to your website and it's just like all of these different options, she doesn't know what to pick. She just wants to know what's in it for her. She just wants to be connected in with a transformation. And so that's a 6-week program. I don't do courses anymore, so there's no logins. Actually, that's a little bit half true. I've joined the HHP Collective with Ella Cressman from ASCP Podcast. She has a new educational collective and membership, so I'll be a part of that. So I'll have courses there. But for my own programs, just implementation boards where you have everything right there. I just don't jive with like spending money on a course and then it just is like something that you might log into maybe. So this is a 6-week program. It's a sprint. So we get you into action and we get you like there, making the money, doing the thing more quickly than later, and learning my guided meditation, learning my whole energetic blueprint. So DM me if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, there's the group will still be happening. I don't know what's going to happen with this call. We'll probably do the first part of it before the shares happen and put it on YouTube. Otherwise, these aren't necessarily reshared in the group. So when you show up, you get the magic. Thank you, Monica. Love you. You're so close to your brand getting launched. So excited. And yeah, I just love this. This is what I live for. So, okay, one last thing. Let's all have an intention for our week. Let's do a little intention experiment. Let's drop it into a circle, a little pebble in the pond, and create some ripples and hold that intention for each other. You don't need to share it. Let's just all drop in and create an intention. It can be money, it can be impact, income, it can be an experience, but just drop an intention in for your week. Just allow it to be a pebble in the pond. Allow that ripple to come out, connecting us all together. And then that'll be fun to have as a little golden thread we can check in with each other on in the group. All right, so I will say goodbye. Jen, thank you so much. We'll talk about getting you scheduled for the soul service bonus call.
Yeah, that would be
And
great. And thank you so much for having me again.
yeah, absolutely. I think this should be a regular thing.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye, ladies.